Hello, hello, everyone. We are so excited to be here with you yet again for our collab conversations that we're having. My name is Patricia Hayes, and joining me, as usual, is Miss Heather Dumas. Yes,
Whoop, whoop.
we are the new, what do we call ourselves? The little power duo. I don't know. We give ourselves titles.
We do need to give ourselves a title, don't we?
Hey, we're really good at that. It helps,
Yeah, we are.
Build your confidence and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, while I'm being silly, we are just glad to be coming in and continuing our series that we started a couple of weeks ago for this summertime to really help people kind of get in that purpose of resetting, getting themselves back on track for the remainder of this year and the year to come. So that said, our topic for today, we are talking about reframing your mindset for growth. Yes. And I know, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. We're not going to go down too many rabbit holes. It's really going to be high level based on our experiences from, me from executive and empowerment coaching, Heather from her fitness strategy and health coaching, to talk about this commonality that we have, which is if you want to get to the next level for anything, you have to get your mindset straight. It's just not, it's not anything you can avoid. What do you think, Heather?
Oh, 100%. And it's interesting because mindset is this new kind of newer buzzword, right?
I know.
And everyone talks about it, but it's interesting because I don't think the majority of people realize that everything is mindset. Like literally everything you do is mindset, whether it's, don't think that you're going to succeed, or you do think you're going to succeed, or, you get out of bed in the morning and you think the day is going to suck, or you think the day is going to be great. So I think everything is mindset. Everything is mindset. So I think it's more important to think about, okay, what are the thoughts that are going through my head?
Yes.
And the thoughts surrounding this particular topic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. That awareness piece is so important, because that's really what you're talking about. When we, you have to start being more aware of what's going through your mind, which gets us to the first point, which is you got to start telling the truth. What are the conversations you're having in your head, right, with yourself? And, where do you really want to be? And is that conversation helping you to get there or not? Right?
Yeah. Yep. We definitely walk around a bit numb and a bit tuned out, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, whether we have like earbuds in all the time, or, the radio cranking all the time, or people around us. I know a lot of people who don't like to be alone.
Yes.
And I think it's because they don't like to be alone with their thoughts. So if someone else is around, they don't have to think, they don't have to listen to their own thoughts. But if you are honest with yourself about where you are and what you want, that kind of tells you whether or not you think it's possible for you to change, first of all.
Well, yeah, and it's that thing. I mean, someone's going to get tired, but we've been talking about this whole reflection thing. I know I have for like almost a month, because it just keeps circling back to being able to sit down and really, take a deep breath and reflect on who you are and where you want to be. And and recognizing that sometimes that junk that's floating around through your head, it's not true.
Right. It's not true most of the time, I would say.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And that's where we get, short-tempered and whatever, because the stories in our head are that, this person, is angry with me, or this person, doesn't trust me, when they probably actually do trust you. You just haven't talked to them about it.
Yeah. Or they had something else going on with them, right?
Yeah.
And so now you've got this whole miscommunication thing. So let's dive a little deeper into that, and let's talk about, I'll let you go first, in terms of like when you're working with a client on their new, fitness routine, fitness lifestyle, really, because that's really what you focus on, is shifting the lifestyle. And like, what's that first conversation like when you're like, let's talk a little bit more about what it is you really want to do, and getting them to do that reflection?
One of the first things I ask them is, do you think it's possible? Do you believe that you can lose this weight? Or do you believe that you can make this change? And so many times they get taken aback by that question.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't think you can, it doesn't matter how many times you count your macros or how many steps you do on a treadmill. You're never going to succeed, because in your brain is always going to be seeking out confirmation that it's not going to happen.
Yes.
That's where that self-sabotage comes in.
Yes.
We're not intentionally trying to sabotage ourselves. It's our brain is seeking confirmation for what we keep telling it is true. And if we can tell it that's no longer true, and then in fact, I am capable of changing my life and I am capable of getting healthy, then your brain is going to seek out opportunities for you to confirm that thought. So.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm thinking about that time for me when I was working with a client who was really desperate to make a career transition, but had been stuck in, a couple of back-to-back really negative situations. Mm-hmm. So when I start, digging in and about saying, hey, let's talk about what it is you want to do, which we got that, like that seemed easy enough. But when it came to actually saying, okay, well, let's do a couple of small things and let's dig into it. Even on the simplest things, I focus a lot on relationships and the network. So I'm like, hey, give me a list of like 3 or 5 people that you can get in touch with to talk about what it is you want to do next, so we can start doing it. And literally she could not do it. It was like 3 weeks running. And finally I had to say, stop. Let's talk about what's really going on here. Mm-hmm. Because this is a really simple assignment. Right. So what's really running in the background? And when we did that deeper dive, it was really all of this lack of confidence that had just ridden her into the ground from some of these other negative situations, such that she didn't even feel like she could reach out to people to get new insight, because she just assumed they were going to think that they were going to say no, or they were going
to, exactly. Yep. So it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. Yep. But I just said this to someone. Get to that. I just said this to someone yesterday. I was like, if you're going to make a change, it's not going to be comfortable. What's comfortable is where you are. And even though you can be uncomfortable in your comfortableness, the thing that's scary is the change. The thing that's scary is, oh, my muscles are going to hurt. Like, it blows my mind the number of people that are fearful of or just flat out refuse to have muscle soreness.
Really?
It's amazing to me. They're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't like to hurt the next day.
Wow.
Because that I like it because it means I did something. It's confirmation I did something. And if I work out and I'm not sore the next day, I'm like, damn it. didn't go hard enough, clearly, which that's not true. Okay. It is not actually an indicator. It's a variable, but it is not a direct indicator of whether or not you made change.
Yes.
But I totally, every time I'm like, guess I could have gone harder.
That's really fascinating. I hadn't thought, but I guess it's true across different aspects too, where that fear of what's next. So let's talk about this now in terms of growth, because what we're going to talk about is just mindset, just when you're making a shift, which doesn't always equate to a next level growth, right? Hopefully when you're going through that, it's going to result in some level of growth, but we're talking about, focusing on women who are type A'ers like us, who are next level, always, pushing themselves to that next thing. And it's like, what do I need to do? Or how can I do that and not, take myself out in the process, right? And we've already had that conversation about burnout. So, but when we're talking about that, there is that piece of, you got to have a plan of action about what to do next and what that looks like. And that question of what do you need to do differently or more of in order to get to that next level. And that just made me laugh, because it's like, well, if you want to lose, X number of pounds, and your coach is saying this is what you need to do and get to that next level of, let's say, just a part of it, that's just funny to me.
Yeah. Well, people do it with food too,
Yeah.
it's really uncomfortable, and it's, not their normal thing. Like I had a client recently who she's like, well, we get Chinese and pizza once a week. We could do each one once a week. And I was like, well, so what if you didn't? And she was like, well, and I was like, is that really the thing that you got to hang on to? Because kind of crazy, but that was what her routine was. Well, that's what we do. She just kept saying, that's what we do. Well, that's what we do. I'm like, maybe you need to not do what you've been doing so you can have something different.
Yeah, there's that. And what I'm hearing also embedded in that, because people think action is like, what's the next thing I have to do? And maybe the actual next thing you have to do is be able to shift your mind to undo some past habits. And that is really hard. It's hard. It takes effort.
It is hard. It is hard.
Anyone who says it's not hard is a liar. I'll just say that. It's true. They're liars.
I know. If you want change, you got to be uncomfortable. You got to face your fears. You're going to have to overcome some resistance, probably from your own self, but sometimes from other people too.
Yeah.
I mean, my clients get a lot of resistance sometimes from their family, not wanting to go along with the new changes, or, their friends or whatever, and I know I've had resistance from my friends when I've tried to change, not my physical lifestyle, but, my business and my, who I'm surrounding myself with. And I'm like, I'm doing this. This is the direction I'm headed. And they're like, well, but I'm like, on my train or off my train, this train is going that way.
It's so funny you should mention that. I am clearly remembering when I got an unexpected message, an outreach call from someone who was following me that I knew, but didn't know that they were following me, right? I had never put them on my radar as a potential client. They reached out to me and I was like, okay, cool. And, again, in the midst of a transition, leaving something that was pretty negative and wanting to, figure out what's the next thing. I'm like, cool, that's what I do. And so we were all excited and talking about it. And so, and I said, okay, well, let's figure out what this looks like. And then all of these things suddenly came up. Now, remember, I didn't initiate this call. I didn't even know this person was interested. They initiated the call, was all in. And then when it says, okay, well, when do we want to get started? It was, well, my kid's in the middle of doing this other thing, so maybe I should probably wait for that. And I was like, that's going to happen. Like, that's just going to be there. That's going to be all year long. That's not going to, stop. And, we're doing some other things. So I might need to check in with my spouse, which I knew when I heard that, like, this is not going to happen. Right. Because you have to be willing to go ahead and push through that fear.
Yep.
And when we start creating those moments of other people and utilizing other people to make the excuse for why you can't push through on the thing that you want, you haven't decided you want it bad enough.
Right.
And that's not a judgmental statement. I've been there.
It's just a statement.
It's a statement and it's a reality. And part of that mindset growth is when you become aware of when you're doing that to yourself. That in and of itself is a growth moment. And it's very powerful, because then you realize, I cannot put this off on anybody else. This is all on me. And I either want to do it and I'm going to invest and make the next, take the next step, or I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not ready yet. And that's hard for people to acknowledge as well.
Yeah, it really is. It is. So I think the moral of the story is, if you want to change your mindset, you got to get uncomfortable. You got to get honest and push through.
You got to be willing to take some steps. It doesn't have to be big. That's the other thing. I know you've always said, people think they're going to get, oh, I need to lose 50 pounds. And they think it's going to come off next week.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't happen. Baby steps. baby steps. Like, let's start drinking some water.
Right. Let's start with just that. Maybe sleeping. Maybe sleeping.
Maybe get a little more sleep.
Like, I always say, treat yourself like your house plants, you know, sunlight,
Wow.
water, food.
Oh my God. I'm totally going to use that again. You're going to see that again. I'll give you credit, but you're going to see that again.
Okay. All right. I love it. I can't wait for our next chat.
I know. I'm super excited. Okay. So here's the thing, everyone. We are coming to you every Tuesday at 4:30. You can always flip back and check if you're not able to watch us live. So there's no excuse to catch up. And you can catch us on LinkedIn. I put it on my YouTube, and we put it on Facebook as well. You can catch on either my or Heather's social media platforms. And connect with us as well. Okay. We love to hear from people. We love to do the little background chit chat. So you can comment and, make comments publicly, or reach out to us. Both of us are pretty open about backroom chats with folks, because we know there's a lot of need out there, and that's exactly why we're doing this. And speaking of the things that we're doing and why we're doing it, we have a special opportunity. It's coming up in September. You want to talk about it, Heather?
Yes, we are going to get away. We are going to push pause. It's called the power of the pause. 2.5 days to focus on you. We're going to give you the tools to not just decompress and take a break, but then to take that new, refreshed, renewed self back into the real world with your tools to keep yourself from getting back on the crazy train that you just exited. So
yes,
we're super excited about it and can't wait to see everyone there.
Yeah. So click on the link in the post, or again, check any of our socials, because you can get all the information about the retreat. We're really excited about it and looking forward to being able to host some women who are willing to take that next level step. Everything we've been talking about. You don't have to know everything that needs to happen. You just have to be willing to make the step and make the investment in yourself. So we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.